You're here to learn about Pokemon's surprising origins, which come from a banned manga. Pokemon itself was completely different, so much so that you wouldn't even recognize it. Sign in and sit down, and I'll answer that question in today's video. You heard it right, Pokemon used to be much more different than what it is now. And while not technically banned, if the original manga of Pokemon was sold in America during the early 90s, it would have caused a lot of controversy. So much so that the 1 million moms would have had it banned. So basically, it wasn't sold in the US for good reason. But what is that reason? Let's get into it. Truth is, the original manga, before the anime was produced and released, Pokemon were referred to as pocket monsters, which means it's a completely different name. I think it was shortened because it sounds so much better as what we know today. Pokemon sounds better than pocket monsters. Pokemon itself was geared more towards the family-friendly type of show once it released in its anime form. The original manga is well known for being very violent and having zombies and even Pokemon being cut in half. But with that said, there are things that were in the manga that never came to the US also that you should probably be aware of. While Pokemon being cut in half is a-okay for us Westerners, Pokemon pooping was just too much. Yes, originally Pokemon could poop in the manga series, and I mean it was a lot, like as big as Pikachu itself. Wow, that is a lot of crap. Go ahead and tell them all about it, Jeff Goldblum.
That is one big pile.
A surprising lack of toilets in Pokemon is more disturbing now than ever, seeing that image, so not really sure where they were going to go with the whole toilet thing, but hey, it makes a little bit more sense now that there's not that many in the show in the game. But that's not all. Pokemon could also talk, so Meowth is not an exception in the original manga. Originally, Pokemon like Clefairy and Pikachu could talk to humans, I guess. That would have been a bit weird. It also would have definitely put to rest some theories if we could only talk to Pokemon. Too bad they didn't keep this feature though. But then Meowth wouldn't be that special either, and neither would Mewtwo's telepathy, I suppose, and the other very rare talking Pokemon. Perhaps it's better they don't talk. It makes me feel less bad about forcing them to fight to the death. And oh yes, they most certainly could have died originally, and not in the way that they currently die as shown with the Pokemon Tower or Lavender Town. But the developers thought that because kids treated death with less respect, they had decided instead to make Pokemon faint, not die, so that they would be consistently revived and no Pokemon had to die. Even something as crazy as evolution was different too. Similar to Digimon, once again, Pokemon could de-evolve. If you play the trading card game, you might have noticed the de-evolution spray, which makes a lot more sense now that you know about that. In the anime or the games, we still have Pokemon that technically can de-evolve, like Slowbro if it loses its shell, or Executor if one of its heads roll off, it'll become an Execute. So yeah, okay, that's a thing. Pretty crazy to think that Pokemon's main theme of evolution was just like Digimon at one point in time. Perhaps they could have evolved during harsh battles and turned back into their original forms. Once again, making more sense of how they evolved during battles in the anime. It doesn't make sense if you apply game logic, but it makes perfect sense now knowing that they could de-evolve. I don't know if I would enjoy that. I always disliked the de-evolution that happened in Digimon, so I guess I'm glad they changed that concept. Finally, and most disturbingly of all, in the manga, Red actually exposes himself. Yeah, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to show that here, but you can just imagine why they would not want to include that into a family-friendly Pokemon sold in the US. There were plenty more changes that occurred, like the censorship of females in the manga and the anime, which is silly because they weren't nude like Red was, but Nintendo being Nintendo in the 90s, censorship did occur quite a lot. And the fact that trainers were more like circus trainers with whips. Those actually made it into the games, by the way. Rockets, Tamers, and Sabrina, even in the anime with AJ in early episodes, they have whips. All of them have whips. It's crazy. Like, this was a thing. Crazy to think what else could have made it in the anime and the games. Perhaps you did notice something that I didn't. What did you notice early on that was quietly discontinued as the series went forward? Pikachu becoming more skinny is something that definitely changed, but I'd like to hear something from you. Let me know in the comments down below. Should this manga have been banned from sales in the US? Yeah, probably not. No, not really. But if kids' first experience with Pokemon was this, I think they would have been a bit more confused, and I don't think Pokemon would have went over as well.